The Tiecon Delhi and NCR 2020 event has begun, and of course it was virtual, keeping up with the times. Flipkart Group CEO Kalyan Krishnamurthy spoke about how India is the third largest consumption economy and spoke a little bit about the future of e-commerce in India. Let's listen in.
I would love to share with you a view on how the retail industry has seen significant changes and how focusing on opportunities is essential for businesses of all sizes. While challenges have impacted many businesses, there are many new avenues that have opened up for all of us. The opportunities that modern retail present are significant for businesses of all sizes, including the Kirana ecosystem. We at Flipkart are also doing our bit to help small businesses and artisans embrace the power of technology and be a part of the modern retail opportunity. The last couple of years have seen a significant change in digital adoption and some path-breaking trends in e-commerce. I would like to take you through some of the trends we have observed in the last 1 to 2 years. Stepping back, India's long-term growth and massive consumption potential continues. What we had shared before as well is that the growth in consumption in India will be led by the middle income segment, and we continue to believe that. In 2005, only 30% of the consumption economy in India was led by the middle income segment. In 2030, the expectation is that 75% of consumption in India will actually be led by the middle income segment. India's consumption economy will be the third largest by 2030, and we are looking at a scale of over $5 trillion. The estimated size of the retail commerce economy in India will be more than $1 trillion in the next 3 to 4 years. India's e-commerce journey has democratized shopping. If you look at 2006, only 3% of Indians were online, and just about a percentage of Indians were actually shopping online. In 2012, 18% of Indians were online, but we did not see a huge spike in the number of Indians buying products online. That said, in 2019, roughly half of Indians are online, and more than 10% of Indians have already shopped something online. Close to 100% of PIN codes in India have seen e-commerce adoption. This includes categories like fashion, appliances, furniture. Across all categories, we have seen a huge adoption. More than 60% of transactions and orders in India come from what we call as tier 2 cities and smaller towns. We still believe that we are scratching the surface when it comes to e-commerce penetration and adoption in India. Only 3.5% of Indian commerce is still online. This can be compared to more than 25% of e-commerce adoption in China, and some of the other developed economies have seen anywhere from 10% to 25% adoption. This growth will be driven by several technology and demographic trends, which we have already started to see. 1 billion internet users by 2030 is our forecast. It's roughly double of where we are today. We have seen a 95% reduction in data prices in the last 5 years. 75% of India's population in the next 5 to 6 years will comprise of millennials and Gen Z. We have spoken a lot about voice and vernacular technologies in the past, and it's becoming a reality. We are very clear that voice and vernacular technologies will enable digital access in India in an accelerated fashion. I want to change gears a little bit and just quickly talk about what we saw as Flipkart in the last year. And this view is not just a view of commerce and e-commerce, it's a general view of several categories and sectors. What you see here is there are categories which have seen permanent baseline shifts, and then there are certain categories which have seen temporary baseline shifts. And of course, there is a positive trend to it, and then there is a negative trend to it. I'm going to focus more on the positive trends here. If you just look at the top right, these are some of the categories and sectors which have seen a permanent baseline shift to the positive. Remote working technology, content, OTT video, of course, e-commerce, gaming, edtech, some subsectors within fintech. These are some of the categories which have seen a permanent positive baseline shift. I just want to quickly talk about a couple of examples, and these numbers are actually quite mind-boggling. Just look at the left side here. This is Zoom. I think a lot of us right now are customers of Zoom. Zoom is today at a market cap of roughly 120 billion US dollars, and that is equal to the combined market cap of the top 6 airlines in the world. And if you just look at the right side, the market cap of all digital and OTT businesses of Disney Plus is more than rest of all the properties and capabilities and assets of Disney put together. That's what has happened in the last 1.5 years. Of course, e-commerce is seeing a huge benefit in many countries across the world. We just quickly talk about two graphs here. One is the United States and one is the United Kingdom. The Indian trends are still shaping up. In case of UK, we saw a massive increase in penetration in e-commerce. After the COVID is beginning to settle down, we can see the trend tapering a little bit, but it's still way ahead and accelerated of what it was pre-pandemic. Similar trends are seen in the United States. Globally, e-commerce players have seen huge acceleration in growth rates versus the traditional economy. On the left side, you can see how the Chinese economy is responding. The blue bar is the traditional retail economy of China. The red one is one of the leading players in e-commerce in China, Tiecon, and the black bar is another of the leading e-commerce players in China, JD. And we can see how the growth rates have evolved over time. Pre-COVID in 2019, China retail was growing at about 8%, Tmall was growing at about 26%, JD was growing at about 23-24%. If you just look at the right side, which is more or less during the pandemic, we've seen deceleration in the traditional retail economy of China and an acceleration in e-commerce first companies. And US e-commerce players also are seeing massive increase in adoption. Big offline retailers who have a big e-commerce play are seeing an added advantage over others. On the left side, you can see Walmart, and this is all publicly available data. Walmart saw an overall growth of about 5.2% with an e-commerce growth, which they announced at roughly 80%. Similar trends can be seen at Costco, Sam's Club, Target, and Best Buy. On the right side, also, it's actually quite a humbling data point. Some of the biggest retailers in the US, some iconic brands who were meaningful in numbers, in revenues, have actually filed for bankruptcy during this time. Brands saw a huge uptick in their e-commerce. On the left side, you can see brands like Nike, iconic brands like Adidas, Lululemon. All of them have seen a massive surge in e-commerce adoption across the world. India is actually seeing a very similar trend, significant uplift across the funnel in Indian e-commerce, 30% higher share of wallet, 16% expanded trialists, and 11% first-time trialists. Most of the consumers we have looked at are actually looking for value across income levels. This is not just in the middle income segment, but across income segments. COVID-induced spike has actually changed several categories, and as we have shared in the past, there is a new normal, and the meaning of essential categories has also completely changed. There is a need for multiple screens. Sorry, if you could just go back 1 second, please. Yeah, just one slide or so. There is a need for multiple screens. The at-home economy, and this at-home economy is across sectors, including what we consume in the kitchen, what we consume through the day. There has been a massive spike in these categories as well. We believe the Indian e-commerce economy has seen a permanent shift for the positive. In the next few years, we actually believe Indian e-commerce economy will be bigger than what we term as modern trade today. If you just look at the right side table, the pre-COVID growth rates of e-commerce were roughly 26-27% as a CAGR over the next few years. But if you just look at the post-COVID estimates, it's gone closer to 30%. We do believe the Kirana ecosystem will continue to see a huge spike, and we see that e-commerce will actually see an increased adoption slightly at the cost of what we call modern retail today. What is not here in the slide also is that in the next 3 to 4 years, what we were estimating the e-commerce market size was roughly in the range of about $50 to $60 billion. Today, the same numbers are actually close to $90 to $100 billion. Innovation to reach the next 300 million Indians are across two verticals. One is access and the other one is affordability. Just want to call out some trends in India we see. We have spoken about voice-enabled commerce. Vernacular vernacular commerce is not just a theoretical trend. At Flipkart, we have already launched multiple languages, and we see huge adoption, especially in new users and new e-commerce users who are coming into the funnel. We see a massive adoption in vernacular. Video content continues to grow disproportionately, especially in tier 2 cities. We saw a 4x growth versus last year. And finally, we have maintained in the last several years that affordability, making commerce affordable for the average Indian user, is going to be a very, very important enabler for growth. At Flipkart, we have led many affordability constructs, including trade-in programs, exchange programs, upgrade programs, and fintech options, and we will continue to lead with those. Indian small businesses and kiranas will also disproportionately benefit, and Flipkart is very committed in this journey. We are very, very cognizant of what the kirana ecosystem wants, including a one-stop shop for inventory across categories, access to working capital, low-cost credit solutions, and easy credit solutions, convenient and reliable delivery of merchandise at their doorstep, local product and selection trends, and technology, which gives product and selection intelligence. We have Flipkart Wholesale, which is a new venture which we launched in collaboration with Best Price, which offers all of these value propositions to the Indian kirana ecosystem. E-commerce is also helping artisans and SMBs in a very meaningful way. We launched Flipkart Summer in the last few years, which was entirely for the benefit of artisans and SMBs. And it's actually picked up in a very, very big way. We already have a very diverse and inclusive seller base, and we are committed to continue investing in the initiative as we continue. Today, sellers from 23 states are already participating in the Summer program of Flipkart.
All right, on that note, let's take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we get you an ET Now exclusive Budget 2021. The question is, will it allow insurance and pension companies to invest in startups? We get you more perspective when we're back.